Well, I guess we could start with Facebook. Why don't we roll that clip from Mark Zuckerberg?
First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes, similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far.
So he's going really far, including moving one of the content teams responsible for fact checking over from California to Texas. He talks about the reason why they launched this fact check team and how it ended up really restricting folks. One of the things that I think is fascinating about this, and you guys, we've talked about this once before, around the Trump administration moving to dismantle in some ways the FBI, right? And this is one of those places, again, where there may be, as Tiff would say, some strange bedfellows. We have a number of friends. There are a number of Black influencers on Facebook, on Instagram, who regularly complain about their content being censored and taken down and restricted. And so I'm curious to know if this is something that is only going to be for Trump supporters and folks who are, spewing hate speech around immigration reform, around gender. Or will it also be expanded to include everything that says BLM? The other thing you all should know in this 5-minute State of the Union, he says that they restricted quite a bit political content on the platform, and that they are now going to open that back up. So now I'm wondering if our Instagram mentions about to be popping. That's what I want to know, because we knew that our stuff was also being restricted. We would get a certain number of views and the likes would plummet and that kind of thing. So we'll see if we too will be impacted by this. I want to know what y'all think about this move. And he even references in this clip that he wanted to have a community base of fact checkers or folks that weighed in with community notes, as he says, similar to Elon Musk's X. So I'm curious to know what y'all have to say about this.
Well, don't all jump at once, but I'll jump in. I'm reminded of what happened in 2016 before any of these standards and practices were put in place at Facebook. And what we saw were foreign entities using Facebook in particular and Instagram to target people who look like us specifically. The Internet Russia Agency spent millions of dollars on these campaign ads. And so now I'd imagine Russia has company. I'd imagine Iran might have some desired influence here. I imagine China might have some desired influence here. And so that's very scary. And I think it's senseless not to imagine that were it a more progressive administration been elected, that Mark Zuckerberg would not be instituting these policies. Right. I think it's interesting to look at these tech giants who have come and bent the knee, not only in policy, but also in funding. None of these people have previously given to inaugural funds, and yet they are making it rain on Donald Trump, which really creates, I think, a very scary relationship between the private and public sectors, especially with, President Elon Musk and his vice president, Donald Trump, and all the ways that Elon Musk has these multiple tentacles in the United States government. And he is essentially overseeing policy to regulate the regulators, the people who would be regulating him. So I think it's a scary time. I think we are in a time of misinformation, disinformation, and quite frankly, a lack of interest in any information that doesn't directly benefit us. So I think we'll see a lot of danger from these policies. The question I have for really you, Angela, because Andrew, I know you don't really traffic in social media much, but I'm off Twitter. It's just such a graveyard there. It's not even, anything interesting there anymore. But I am on Instagram. And I do wonder, what is our role, particularly as, people on this podcast, but also, I post other things about other things on Instagram. And I wonder, am I being hypocritical by staying on that platform, knowing what it is? I'm on, Amazon. I order things on Amazon, have Amazon Prime. At what point do we divest? And then where do we go to spread information? I think it's a question.
You're not getting your news from Amazon anymore, huh?
Well, the Washington
Amazon
Post
owner.
is owned by Amazon, and
of course,
a cartoonist quit just this month because she had, had this cartoon where she showed the tech giants on bended knee, and the Washington Post refused to run it. This is unheard of. It's a ridiculous thing that we're seeing right now that is increasingly normalized. So I don't know,
That's so
guys.
crazy
I don't know
how
where
their
we go.
egos get so twisted over a cartoon. Basically, bringing to animation the truth, because you're talking about two of the wealthiest man in the world, and then closely followed by Zuckerberg. And these clowns still haven't made enough money to stand up to strong men like Donald Trump.
Right.
They got gobs more money than this dude. And they're not just bending a knee. They are weak in the knees.
I don't think
they're
they
weak
are.
in the knees.
I don't think they're bending to Donald Trump. I think that they are finding ways to get Donald Trump to bend to them. I think if you listen to the whole thing of what Mark Zuckerberg says in this, I keep calling it State of the Union of Meta, but what he says in there is, we are being restricted in all of these other countries, and there are there's a restriction on content, and we're being censored and all these things, even in China. So as soon as he said China, it was like, ding, the most important thing to him are the numbers. So if he can find a way to get into China, to stay more present and not be fined in Europe or in the EU, he is going to be winning. It is about
I don't doubt that, Angela. I'm just saying, he's the fool then, because all of us who observe Donald Trump knows that Donald Trump is only loyal to Donald Trump. I mean, this man, you can literally be on his private plane with him, watching SpaceX take off one day, hello, Speaker Johnson. And the next day, the man could be torpedoing your key closing legislation right to your damn face, and then waiting to the last minute.
I don't disagree with that.
Literally almost the last minute. All I'm saying is, I think any of these guys who think that their flattery of Donald Trump is going to hoist them into permanent allyship is going to be foolish. Donald Trump is always going to be for him at the end of the day.
But it's not flattery, it's profit. And to that point, I want to run this clip.
For Zuckerberg.
No, I think that there will be a strategic alliance with Donald Trump and the CEOs and how they fund things. It's no secret that Elon Musk, right. So let's be very clear. I want to go to a Nobel laureate, Maria Ressa, who runs a company called Rappler Talk, and hear what she says about Facebook's move or Zuckerberg's move to get rid of fact checking really quick.
I still believe there are good people inside Facebook, but the moves like this is opportunistic. It exploits the election of Donald Trump, that President Trump in his second term already has a plan 2025. The man that was banned by Facebook when violence erupted on January 6th is now the Pied Piper for big tech CEOs. That just shows you the gap between values, standards and ethics, which I still am looking for from tech, and profit.
Yeah. I'm just saying. I think that there's.
I don't think
the Pied Piper is because and people say often like he's very smart. I think he's a brilliant salesman. I think there are a lot of people behind him that are the profiteers and figure out a way to manipulate him to get him to do the things that they want him to do. We saw it with Russia in 2016 and throughout his term. So I'm just saying.
I don't disagree.
I think it might be some there.
What bothers me the most about this, y'all, and Tiff, you as sort of our resident journalist here know the declining stature that traditional news sources have in the minds of the American people. Yeah. I just pulled up Pew's end of last year, 2024, October survey, which showed that to the question of where customers received their News, actual news, 64% get their regular news off of Nextdoor, 62% off of TikTok, Facebook, 60%, Snapchat, 60%, Instagram, 59%. Yeah. While men make up the greater share of those on Reddit, 68%.
Wow.
X, 64%. Rumble, 60%. Truth Social, God help us, 58%. And YouTube, 57%. Yeah. So these folks are now the arbiters, the highway by which we all must travel to get information.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Sister Hillman over there got 20 direct first and secondary sources. So her news is going to be legit. But everybody else is going to be going through basically reading fairy tales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the scary part of that is it transcends political party.
That's
right.
It
transcends socioeconomics. Like people, I have seen highly intelligent people share misinformation that was completely inaccurate. I have seen people who traffic in nonsense and foolishness post something that I think is inaccurate, and actually it turns out to be true. So it is a cesspool of misinformation. And not everyone is always intentional, but that's why I always try to say, share responsibly, because the truth is it takes but a second to fact check something that, you can Google something to see if it's true or not, or consider the source, or don't present it like, hey, this is what happened. You can say, according to this website that I am not familiar with, they posted this. I don't know if it's true. I would discourage people from sharing anything that you don't know is true, but I think we're going to see so many problems with this. And then this is a subject for another day, but when you couple the tech giants, the misinformation with generative AI.
Oh my God.
I think we are trafficking in an era of scary ignorance. I know we have a break.
Well, I was going to say, Tiff, on that point, just on that specific point, the CEO of Rappler actually talks about AI as it relates to this whole concept. I hope you guys take a listen to that interview. It's really powerful. Shout out to our EP, Loren Hansen, for telling us about it. It is incredible. And she even says, and Mark Zuckerberg may be on the receiving end of this, because there was a generative AI post about him right after he made this announcement to really test how serious he was about fact checking. So not only are people going to have to cite the source, now they're going to have to dig a little deeper to find the source, get familiar with that Dewey Decimal System, and then we'll be back on the other side of this break.
There it is.
Native Land Pod is a production of iHeart Radio in partnership with Reason Choice Media. For more podcasts from iHeart Radio, visit the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.